Hey everyone, Token Dave over here. Dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. And welcome back to the Godzilla Garage, where I exclusively talk about Godzilla and Godzilla related content. You know, I'm part of a couple of groups on Facebook that are huge fans of the Big G and other kaiju. And noticing a bit of a trend right now. A lot of people are showing love for Zilla, which is kind of weird because the general consensus is this is actually one of the worst, if not considered the worst, Godzilla movie by, the fan base from what I've seen. Heck, I'm just like less than 7 pages from finishing William Susatsui's Godzilla on My Mind, the very first Godzilla book that I got. And this dude is really, really ripping this movie right here, So, I'm going to do something a little different in this edition of the Godzilla Garage. I'm going to give my personal retrospective on Zilla, and then I'm going to end this off with why I feel Zilla is getting a lot of love. All right? So, let me take you guys back to 1998, and let me flat out confess that when I saw this in the movie theater, I immediately loved the movie at the time. And the thing is, and I saw this in the movie theater. When I first saw it, I loved it. Then the second time, I took Isao and another friend from my childhood and everything. And when we saw it, I asked them what they thought. And Isao says that, yeah, it rocked, but kind of heard in his voice that he wasn't impressed. And 2 weeks later, he basically confirmed my belief when he called this movie Iguana. And me, I was like, no. It's not Iguana, it's Godzilla. And he's like, no, this is not Godzilla. I was like, before we go any further, this is not Godzilla as we know him. This is not the real Godzilla. This is the American Godzilla. Because basically, I saw it in the vein that I never thought that the Americans could do Godzilla the way Godzilla was supposed to be done. I was like, you know what? This is the American creation. It's not really that bad. And considering, I would not want them to try to mimic Godzilla from Japan because at this time, reboots and remakes were still pretty bad, So I gave it a lot of flack and a lot of cover. And at this time, Isao and my other friend, they were like, well, when was the last time you saw a Godzilla movie? I was like, oh, I saw the Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, which was the last Godzilla movie that I saw prior to that. And keep in mind, I had my uncle to thank for it, but kind of didn't really enjoy it or couldn't get into it because they were spoken Japanese and it was not subtitled at all. So I could not follow or get what the hell was going on. So, and at that time, they introduced me to a couple of places where I started collecting anime on VHS tapes and video games, imported from Japan, which is how I got Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension for the Super Famicom. Well, the Super Nintendo, but we were able to adjust it to play Japanese games. And so I was going there for a little bit, and some of the people I started getting cool with, and then I asked a few of them, what did you guys think about the Godzilla movie? And they hated it with a passion. Woo! And I was like, damn, guys, shit. And then they were like, asked the same question. What was the last Godzilla movie I saw? And I said, I don't speak Japanese, but I saw Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. And then it was like, well, why don't you go back and watch the other Godzilla movies? I was like, oh, I've been doing so. And then it's like, okay, whoa. Did you actually watch Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2? And I was like, yeah, I saw Terra Mechagodzilla. It's like, no. And then they actually gave me a discount and everything, which was pretty cool because instead of paying $10, I paid $7. And then I got the VCR tape of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. And I was like, is this not Manila? But then someone told me, no, 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 it's Baby Godzilla. That's Baby Godzilla. Completely different. And then I got a lot of those bootleg tapes, and I started watching the Godzilla movies, and then I still was adamant in my love for this movie, especially since this cartoon series was freaking amazeballs, you know. And I was like, well, this is the original ones. This is still freaking good and everything. It's better than this, but this is not Godzilla. This is not the real Godzilla. This is the American Godzilla. And it was like, that's why it sucks. And then someone explained to me as I was trying to apply for college, you know, I didn't think I would get into Hunter College in CUNY, which is like Hunter and Baruch were the only colleges that had Japanese, you know, but they explained to me that basically, well, there's a lot of cultural significance, you know, about Godzilla. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's a big movie. He's like, no, 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 no. It's basically, you know, if you watch the original Godzilla movie, I was like, oh, the one with Raymond Burr is like, no, 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 not that one. You have to watch the original Godzilla movie. And I'm like, which one is it? And it's like, it was difficult, but then it took them a couple of months later to actually get the Godzilla movie, which is known as Gojira, you know. Now, I didn't call it Gojira at the time because I called it Godzilla. And basically, you know, I started to see, I was like, oh, this is not Godzilla. This is not Godzilla King of the Monsters. Oh. And then I started asking some of the people that from those stores and some of the people that I was friends with at the time in the Asian community. And yeah, I began to understand the hatred for this abomination. And, you know, and after understanding that, you know, I refused to watch this movie again. Hell, I have not watched it until fairly recently. Actually, I haven't watched it until like basically 2 nights ago. And yeah, so I went from 2001 all the way up until 2018 to watch this movie again. And within rewatching it, I gotta say, it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. As a Godzilla movie, it's terrible. But as a giant monster movie, you know, it's enjoyable. And if I'm going to be very honest, when I do a countdown in the distant future, this is still low on the list, but not as low. So, my thoughts on Zilla are basically, it's not a bad kaiju and everything. It's not Godzilla, you know, but it's not a bad kaiju. And do I think Zilla is getting a lot of love? I probably think it's because of one of the reasons why I particularly love, you know, the return of Godzilla, Godzilla in 1984, Godzilla in 1985. This was the movie that introduced a lot of people to Godzilla, you know? And so I personally feel like one of the reasons why I'm seeing so much love for Zilla is this is their gateway into the franchise. This is what they grew up with. This is what they were familiar with. So, you know, a lot of people that are younger than me will address their love for the Godzilla franchise thanks to this movie making it mainstream. You know, me personally, yeah, I do think Zilla is kind of trash, but like, you know, well, compared to the other kaijus and everything, I do consider Zilla. First of all, I don't even consider Zilla a kaiju, you know, because, you know, Zilla is actually created and made in America. That's not a kaiju in my definition. But I can understand why people have such affection for him, because this is the one that introduced him, a lot of people, to Godzilla, particularly if you're very young. This is your introduction. So that I understand, you know. Agree? Disagree? What are your thoughts on this subject? Please drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave and on Twitter at Token Dave 80. Subscribe. Ring that bell so you know a new video loads. And spread this video out. And I am sorry for the long-windedness, but I really felt that I should have gone a bit more into detail about this. But anyway, this has been Token Dave, Dorky Token Black Guy. I was just trying to get by. I'll catch all of you later.